We just stepped on their face with a hobnail boot and broke their nose. We just crushed their face.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Glory UGA podcast, brought to you by our good friends at MyBookie. Make sure to check them out for all your betting needs this college football season. And today, guys, we're just going to rip that Band-Aid right off and break down what went wrong for Georgia inside Sanford Stadium last night in the Dawgs' latest loss in a long line of losses to Alabama. This one by the score of 24-21. Another heartbreaker. And look, guys, I know that episodes like this, following games like that, are excruciatingly difficult for diehard Georgia fans like you. They're excruciatingly difficult for me to do, guys. I'm a diehard Georgia guy myself. That's why we produce content for all you diehards. So it's tough. I know it. But we're going to get through this together. And if you are a diehard, go ahead. Subscribe right now. There are better days ahead, guys. Brighter days are ahead. I know it doesn't feel like that right now, but good things are coming. And you don't want to miss any of the coverage we have for you guys the rest of the season. So subscribe, like, comment. I know you guys have a lot of thoughts about last night. Now, I'd love to hear from you guys. So hit me up in the comments. But let's go ahead and dive in, guys. And well, there's nothing more to be said than the boogeyman strikes again. I told you guys last week a couple times that it's so crazy how this matchup with Alabama always sets up. We are the boogeyman, have been the boogeyman for every other team on our schedule, every other team in the SEC, every one of our rivals for really the entirety of the Kirby Smart era. Sans maybe 2016, the first year, right? But since 2017, certainly the case, with one exception. Of course, that being Alabama. They have been our boogeyman. They are to us what we are to everyone else in the SEC, and we saw it again up close and personal for the first time in a decade inside Sanford Stadium. That was the new part, right? This was inside Sanford Stadium. We never had them in Athens under Kirby Smart, but we finally got them. And what was the result? Well, for the first time in 2,177 days, for the first time since October of 2019, the Georgia Bulldogs lost a game inside Sanford Stadium. And look, guys, it had to happen eventually. We weren't going to continue to win every game inside Sanford Stadium for all eternity, especially now with the expanded SEC schedule coming up here starting next year. That was an inevitability. We were going to lose that game at some point, right? You wanted to delay that as long as possible. I just wish it didn't have to be this team, man. Like, someone was going to end the streak. It was going to happen. I just wish it wasn't to Alabama, to that program. And look, I want to give Alabama credit, man. I want to give Alabama credit for being the better team last night, just like they were the better team last year, just like they were the better team in 2023. For the third consecutive game between these two programs, Alabama played a cleaner game. Because now that you go, I would say at least since 2021. Kirby Smart, with what he's done from the recruiting standpoint, has closed the gap, and it's basically, like, from a talent standpoint, it's virtually even, if not in some years, Georgia had a more talented roster. But we continue to lose these games because, for whatever reason, Alabama continues to play cleaner games. In my opinion, that's because a large part of it's in our heads at this point. But they won the game, guys, and that's really what it came down to. They played a cleaner game. They did not make the catastrophic mistakes that we did, just like last year. They did not make the catastrophic mistakes that we made that put us in a 28-0 hole on the road, right? And so when I say that program is in our heads, like I told you guys a couple times last week, last night was case in point of what I'm talking about when I say that. We just do things from a player standpoint, from an execution standpoint, from a coaching standpoint, from a decision-making standpoint that we just, quite frankly, do not do against anyone else. It's hard to explain that other than saying it's in our head. It's almost like the Bama yips is essentially what it is. We don't see Georgia do this against anyone else. You can say, well, Bama forced that. Guys, a lot of mistakes that cost us that game, Bama didn't force. It's on us. It's just like 4th and 1. We'll get to it in a little bit here. 4th and 1, we'll get to the play call. I know a lot of you have issues with the play call. We'll get to that. But regardless of the play call, you have just the right tackle, Juan Gaston. Come on, man. Just make an effort. Any kind of effort just to get in the way of the defensive end. You do that, we probably score. But we just, that's not a Bama thing. That was an us thing. That's an execution thing. And it's just Man, so I will say this, saying we self-destructed in this game isn't entirely fair to Bama. I will say that because they made plays. They had made plays, whether they were, what, 75 plus percent on third downs. I think they were 9 of their first 11 on third downs. Crazy stuff. They went out on the road and won the game. And they deserve a ton of credit for that. It's a tough environment, guys. It was a tough place to play last night. It was rocking from the get-go. They deserve credit for coming in and getting the job done. But saying that, it's also very clear. We all watched the game, right? Even Alabama fans would have to admit that it's clear that we ultimately lost this game because of self-inflicted wounds. Just like we lost the game last year because of self-inflicted wounds. Just like we lost the game in 2023 because of self-inflicted wounds. Now, Bama played really well in that game for sure in 2023, and they got out to the lead, of course, just like they did each of these last two matchups as well. But we also had a catastrophic fumble deep in our own territory that ultimately ended up costing us that game in the SEC championship game. Self-inflicted wound. Bama didn't do those things. They didn't do them in 2023. They didn't do them last year. Didn't do them this year. At least not to the degree that we did. So it wasn't, and what I'm saying is this, not that they just outmanned us. Like Bama was just clearly more talented than Georgia. Bama is just on a different level from a player, from a talent standpoint than Georgia. That's not the case. But hey, being the better team isn't always about being more talented. I think sometimes we fall in that trap. We say, well, they're better, and we look at that because we're saying they're more talented. They have better players. But it's not just that. Being the better team is also about executing. Like, yeah, having the talent, that's a big part of it for sure, but it doesn't matter if you don't execute. And that's where we fell short last night, guys. We just simply didn't execute. Bama clearly did a better job of that last night. And they're a great program, right? Different program under DeBoer, certainly, but still a very good program with a ton of great players. And we knew it was going to be a close game. I predicted, what was my final prediction? 27-23 Georgia. Obviously, I was wrong. My God, guys, I don't care. Bama, great program, great players. I am so sick of this. I am so sick of losing to that program. I mean, how many different ways can one program invent to lose to another program in heartbreaking fashion? How many different ways can we invent a way to do that with Alabama? It's almost like we sit there game planning all week. All right, guys. All right, let's sit around here in the meeting room and let's figure out how can we possibly one up ourselves in finding a way to rip our fans' heart out against this same team yet again. That's what it feels like, guys. I know we're less than 24 hours after the game here, in the aftermath of the game. So I'm still emotional. All right, I understand that. My perspective's not there, but it's almost diabolical on the part of the coaches and the team to continue to find ways to lose to this team in this fashion. It's brutal, man. I mean, guys, against this program. Look, I know that we're in this new age of college football, right? Where with NIL, we have the transfer portal. It's leveled the playing field. Talent is more widely dispersed than it ever has been, at least in my lifetime, at the college football level. So, with that being the case, it's going to be very difficult for teams to go undefeated in any given season. That's going to be quite the effort. You're going to have a crazy easy schedule. It's going to have to align for you for that to happen. So in this new age of college football, you're going to lose games. It's not like it was back in like 96 where you lose a game. It's, oh, there we go. No shot in the national title. Season's over. Let's just play for bowl positioning. It's not the case, man. You're going to lose games. Pretty much every team is going to lose a game, maybe multiple games in a year. So I can accept that. I don't like it. I don't like losing games, but we have to adjust our mindset with this new era, this new reality of college football. I get that. I'm just so tired of those losses coming to this team, to this program. Honestly, guys, I would rather look at our schedule. I would rather us lose to anyone else on our schedule outside of Georgia Tech. I can't stand loss Georgia Tech because they should not ever be on our level. We should never lose a football game to Georgia Tech. As far as I'm concerned, that's the way I look at it. It should never happen. We live in the state with them, and if they beat us ever, guys, I know it hadn't happened in a long time, but like if you're old enough to know what it's like I am, when we do lose to Georgia Tech, yeah, it sucks. It's terrible. So anyone other than Tech, I'd rather lose to than Alabama, right? Lose to Ole Miss. Like if we would beat Alabama but lose to Ole Miss in a couple of weeks, like that would suck. I don't want to lose to Ole Miss, but I can take that. I can handle that. Lose to Texas down the road. Like I want to beat Texas. I don't want to. I don't want to live in this world where Texas is, oh, Texas is the next coming of Jesus Christ here on earth. Like I don't want to live in that world, but I can live with that more than losing to Alabama. That's where I am. Like losing Auburn in a couple of weeks, I'd hate it. I don't like Auburn, but I can live with that more than lose to Bama again. I'm just so tired of it, guys. Like losing those games, yeah, they're like losing sucks, but losing those games would not eat at me like losing to Alabama does. And I know that like this is a Georgia podcast. You guys don't want to hear this. It might cost me listeners, followers, whatever, subscribers. But I'm just gonna say it. I'm sick of Alabama owning us. Because that's the reality, guys. Like we have to stare reality in the face. Right now, they own us. I keep hoping and wishing and praying that someday, somehow, we could turn that around. I thought maybe after 2021 national title game, I thought we maybe turn the corner, get that monkey off our back. We did temporarily, but that monkey jumped right back on our back, and it's clinging. It's clinging there. And I'm sick of it, man. 1-7 against Bama since 2017, 60-4 against everyone else in the SEC, not named Bama, in that same time span. Death, taxes, and Georgia losing to Alabama. At this point, less than 24 hours after that game, it feels like those are about the only guarantees in life right now. And look, guys, I know my perspective is not there right now. When the wound is this fresh, I get it. I understand. You have to forgive me for that. I'm trying to not go off the deep end here. All right. So I know my perspective is a little distorted here. We have won a lot of games over the last decade. Kirby Smart has been the best thing that's ever happened to this program. He has made all my wildest dreams come true. The program, despite the loss last night, the program right now and over the last 4, 5, 6 years is where I spent the first 30-ish years of my life, 25-ish years of my life, dreaming it would be, longing for it to be. So I do appreciate that, man. But I'm just so tired of losing to this team. Does that make me spoiled? Probably, maybe. I don't know. But like it's just where my head is right now. Give me a week or two, get this taste out of my mouth, go beat Kentucky, hopefully, knock on wood, fingers crossed. Go win at Auburn, knock on wood, fingers crossed. Then maybe I'll regain my perspective. Right now, it's hard. It just is, man. Like I'm sure it is for a lot of you guys out there. I pride myself in not being reactionary, not going off the freaking deep end, and I'm really working hard right now to not allow that to happen. But with that, guys, I'm gonna get off my soapbox. I just had to commiserate with you there for a little bit to open the show. But let's get into why Georgia lost. Okay, let's get into the X's and O's. Let's get into the specifics here. Would you say it is as simple as two plays? A fumble by Nate Frazier and a just disaster of a 4th and 1 in the well, yes, definitely. It wasn't inside the 10, right? But inside the red zone, yeah, you could probably boil it down to those two plays. Yes, but I think it's more than that. We'll come back to those two plays. But what I want to do first is I want to go back and look at my 5 keys to the game. So on my prediction episode I put out last Thursday that a lot of you guys checked out. Thank you for that, by the way. I laid out 5 keys. And it's basically like if Georgia checks off these 5 boxes, if we do these 5 things, I don't see how we lose the game. I even told you guys we don't need to necessarily do all 5 things. If we can check off all 5 boxes, we win the game. If we check off 3 or 4 of them, we probably win the game. Less than that, probably not. So let's go back and revisit what those 5 keys were and evaluate how Georgia fared in those areas. I think that's going to be really enlightening and explaining why Georgia lost this game. So number one, my first key was get off to a fast start. One of the things that we've seen the last couple of matches since Alabama, really almost all of them. Except against 2017, 2018, we had the lead. They made the comeback, right? In both those games. Since then, it's really Bama jumps out to a lead, and we're trying to make the comeback, and we just always end up falling short, with the one exception, of course, being the national championship game in 2021. I guess the game was played in 2022, but the 2021 season. And I believe, again, that Alabama, this program, is in our heads, right? And so I was fearful if we don't get off to a fast start, if they come out and get out to a fast start, get out to a lead like they did last year, it's going to quiet the crowd. And more importantly, the players in their heads, they're going to be start thinking, oh my God, here we go again. Coaches thinking, oh my God, here we go again. The players start pressing, coaches start pressing, you start making mistakes. And we kind of saw that play out. So we definitely didn't check that box. Now, look, I will say this team, the resilience of this team is unbelievable. We went down, like I said after Tennessee, like we might go down. We're probably gonna lose the game at some point, but if we go down, we'll go down swinging. And that's what happened here. Like we went down, and we did it to ourselves more really more than anything in the second half. But we went down swinging. All right, this team came back, fought back. They do not have the quit in them. I will give them that, and I respect the heck out of that, and I love that about this team. It just wasn't enough in this game. But fast start, nope, can't check that box. Affect the passer. That was other than like in terms of X's and O's. That was my biggest key in this game. I told you guys on Thursday, if we could not affect the passer, it was going to be really hard to win this game because they have really good receivers. Ty Simpson with time is accurate. He's decisive, good decision maker. And we've had some of our struggles in the secondary, right? And how do you negate that? You affect the passer. You get after it. And we just simply could not do it on any sort of a consistent basis. We were not disruptive really at all in creating negative situations. A couple tackles were lost late in the game in the second half. But the first half, guys, Simpson was dropping back basically unencumbered and having all freaking day. We had one sack on the game. Chris Cole got another one. He was a guy that I pinpoint as a guy that might have a breakout game. And of all the pass rushers, he had the best game. But it still wasn't good enough, guys. They were nine. It was 9 of 11 on their first downs in the game, and they ended up converting. I think it was a 13 overall. 8 of them. I went back and counted it, guys. 8 of the third downs they converted were 3rd and 5 or longer. Which when Bama, you're talking about Bama, the way they cannot run the football, 3rd and 5 is an obvious passing situation for them. So that's a pin your ears back, get after the quarterback situation for the Georgia defense. 8 of them, 8 of their third down conversions were 3rd and 5 or longer. And that is a clear reflection of our inability to rush the passer. He had all day. And guys, our DBs, for the most part, covered well in this game. Considering the competition, the receivers that they were trying to cover, they did a really good job of holding guys like Ryan Williams and Jeremy Bernard in check for the most part. But when you're asked to cover for 5, 6 seconds because you just simply can't get after the passer, you're not going to be able to hold up that long. No one can. I don't care how good your secondary is. That was the biggest issue last night. We could not get off the field on 3rd and long. We got them to where we wanted to get them, right? I told you guys, Bama can't run the ball. And so if they can't run the ball, one thing that we've been really good at, like defensively, is we stop the run really well all year long. They don't run the ball well. We stop the run well. I felt like we had a really good chance, like I told you last week, to get them into 3rd and long. And we get them to 3rd and long. I liked our chances against their tackles because I don't think their tackles are very good. And last night, notwithstanding, I still don't think their tackles are very good. But you know what? We couldn't get to them. And that was one question I had. I put it on the bye week episode where I highlighted three things I want us to go back and really work on and try to fix coming out of that bye week. One of those defensively was the pass rush. Now I threw a caveat out there. I qualified it by saying I just don't know if we can do this. I'm not saying that we can't, but I'm not saying we can't either. Because you look at the first 2 games, the opponents were overmatched. They were trying to get the ball out of their hands very quickly because they knew they couldn't hold up against our pass rush, right? Tennessee, they did a lot of max protect, keeping tight ends, running backs in, keeping 7, 8 guys in to block at times. And so they negate your pass rush, right? They just have 2 or 3 more blockers than we do pass rushers on any given snap for a lot of the snaps. So when you look at that, it's like, okay, well, I don't know. Like against a team that plays a little bit differently, doesn't go max protect as much as they did, keep 7 and 8 guys in to pass block. Can we get after the passer? I don't know. We just hadn't really had a chance to do that. I was concerned. The answer might be no, but I didn't really know. What I did know is that we lost our top 7 pass rushers from a year ago. I like Chris Cole. I think Chris Cole is a really good pass rusher. But it's clear right now, guys, outside of him, we don't have anyone that threatens a quarterback. Gabe Harris is a guy that his first couple years was a good pass rusher for us. It was a tricky thing, man. He needed to gain weight to be an every down player at that 5 tech defensive end force. He got to like 270 plus, and that has slowed him down a half step. So he's not as effective of a pass rusher as he was his first couple years in Athens. We're not getting enough push from the interior. When we get in 3rd and long situations, we used to maybe slide Michael Williams inside or a TID inside on a guard. And we're doing those like guys like Joseph Donajanye right now, and we're just not getting even on 3rd and long, we don't have like our true defensive tackles in the game. We're sliding like 5 tech guys inside. Those guys are not generating pass rush. Our linebackers blitzing are not doing a good enough job of getting off blocks. They're not. So it was a problem, man. And look, I'll give Alabama a lot of credit. They figured it out, man. Like they knew it. They knew that it was very clear early on, like that first 2 drives, that we were not going to be able to get pressure on them with a natural pass rush. So they knew that we were going to probably have to generate some pressure by manufacturing it, by bringing extra bodies, blitzing, which is what we had to do in the late in the first half, second half, and give them credit. They went to the screen game and they hit some chunk plays. I think their biggest pass play of the game was a 27-yard screen because they knew we were going to bring pressure. They knew that we were going to have to dial up blitzes because we couldn't get after them with a natural pass rush. So if you're looking for what is the one biggest reason why we lost the game, I know you can talk about the 4th and 1, you can talk about the fumble. We'll get there, and those certainly played a major factor. But if you look at the game in totality, it was Georgia's inability to rush the passer. Bama was lights out on third down. I've never seen a team be that good on third down against the Georgia defense. Like, I can't remember a time, guys. I mean, at least off the top of my head, I can't. I racked my brain last night. I can't remember the last time I've seen a team be that good on third down against Georgia. And the difference this year was we simply could not get after the passer. And you can sit here and tell me that I was wrong about their edges, Proctor and Formby. I don't think I was, and maybe I'll be proven wrong. All I can tell you guys is the all 22, the first 3 games, especially against Florida State, they got whipped like one-on-one. We just simply couldn't whip them one-on-one. They were better than our guys, and that was I was hopeful that might not be the case, but I was wrong. I was wrong in saying that. I thought our guys might be better than they were, and they were wrong. Now that we've seen them get a chance to actually rush the passer, not with an offense going 7-8 protection or a team getting the ball in their hands really quickly, it's clear that we just don't have the dudes right now. And that is a major concern for me moving forward. That is the biggest concern. I think we have a lot of reasons to be excited about this team. I think there's a lot of things that this team does really well. But if you can't rush the passer against some of the better teams that we're going to face, with the types of quarterbacks that we're going to have to face, with the types of receivers some of these teams have, like Ole Miss in a couple of weeks, that's going to be a problem, man. That's how you negate elite quarterback play, is you get after the passer. And we were borderline elite at that last year with Jalen Walker. I knew we would miss Jalen Walker. Man, we missed him more than I even thought he would. Than I even thought we would. Like right now, guys, I know Chaz Chandler's got beating most of his career. Give me Chaz Chandler's back right now. I mean, dear God, it's just bad, man. Like Quintavious Johnson at Jack linebacker is a really good run defender on standard downs. But right now, that dude is giving us straight up 0 as a pass rusher. He needs to not be on the field on any 3rd and long. He cannot get after the passer right now. Maybe he can grow into that, but he's giving us nothing. He doesn't have an explosive step off the ball. His pass rush repertoire is not really there. He's not overpowering guys, giving us nothing as a pass rusher. I do not need to see him on the field on 3rd downs when it's a 3rd and obvious passing situation ever again. There's no need for it. Maybe if you want to slide him inside and bring someone else on the outside, that's fine. But rushing the passer from the edge on 3rd and obvious, we've seen it. Like, it's not going to work. It's just not going to work. So we got problems here. We got to find some answers if we want to get back to the SEC championship game, which I know doesn't feel like it's possible right now, but it's a long season, guys, and it's still technically within our reach. So that was a big fat X there. We did not check that box, affect the passer. Number 3, my 3rd big key was Georgia's got to be able to run the football. I had major concerns. My biggest concern coming in this game, like it was against Tennessee, was the right side of our offensive line. I actually thought that they protected really well. I was very impressed with them. Very proud of those guys in this game. But I thought we needed to run the football to stay out of 3rd and long to protect those guys so that they wouldn't be in 3rd and obvious situations where we wouldn't be as predictable offensively. And by God, you better believe we checked that box. Over 220 yards rushing, 7 yards per attempt in this game. We ran the ball up and down the field on Alabama, down their throats. And honestly, guys, if you'd have told me coming again that we would run for 220 plus yards, 7 yards a carry, I would have said, I don't know how we lose the game. But of course, it's Georgia, Alabama, so we found a way, still some way, somehow, to lose that game. But we were running the ball almost at will on this Alabama team for most of the game, with, of course, slight exceptions like, I don't know, 4th and 1 inside the red zone. So that's a big check there. We checked that box. Eliminate the explosive plays for Alabama. I'm going to give us a check there. Like, they killed us with explosive plays last year. They hit, I think there were 2 plays of 24 or more yards in this game. One of them was a screen pass, a 27-yard. I think Ryan Williams had a 24-yard reception. That was his longest reception of the day. They did not really generate explosive plays. They were just consistent on converting 3rd downs. And when they convert 3rd downs, it was 3rd and 7, they're getting 8, 9 yards. If it's 3rd and 10, they're getting 12, 15 yards. They weren't getting the chunk plays. We were actually the team that was generating more explosive plays in the run game and the pass game as well. At least the one that Colby Young had. Another one, Talon Taylor. Yeah, that one I'm not going to forget about that one for a minute. That one still hurts. But we actually were the team that generated more explosive plays. We had multiple plays of 40 plus yards. They didn't have one of more than 27 yards. So that's a check. We checked that box. And then finally, this is the one I told you guys. Like, I know you can say this about any game, but in a game like this, when the margins are as small as they are between two teams like this, relatively evenly talented for the most part, you got to win the turnover battle. And it wasn't egregious. We were -6 in the turnover battle the last four matchups combined against Alabama, 8-2. Well, this game was only 1-0. We turned the ball over once. They didn't turn over at all. But that one turnover, deep in our territory, sets up a Bama score. Lose by 3. That's your ball game right there. So it maybe wasn't egregious in terms of like how many times we turned the ball over. They didn't turn over at all. We couldn't force a turnover because we couldn't pressure the quarterback. It kind of helps create turnovers. And then Nate Frazier with his fumbleitis strikes again, and that was yet another key in why we lost this game. So 5 keys there. We checked 2 of them. Definitively check run the football. Definitively. I'll give a solid check there for limiting explosive pass plays, but definitely not fast start. Definitely could not affect the passer, and definitely did not win their turnover battle. So that's really like those keys. Like to me, if we checked all those boxes, we win the game. We just didn't get the job done in those critical areas of the football game. Now let's get to the play I know you guys all want me to dive into, and I know you have a lot of thoughts. I've been discussing this with some people on social media. I know there's a lot of different ideas out there. I know a lot of you probably disagree with me on how I look at this, but let's get to that 4th-and-1 decision inside the 15-yard line, early fourth quarter. And I will admit, in the stands, in the moment, I was apoplectic. I was losing my mind. I didn't like the fact that we hurried line of scrimmage because it looked like we were out of sorts there. I would have liked for us to have taken our time and run the football down their throat. That's what I was thinking in the stands. We've been running the football down their throat all game long. Why are you handing the ball to your running back, who is not really a running back, who's more of a receiver out of the backfield? And Cash Jones, love Cash, but I never really ever want to see Cash carry the football. That's not what Cash does well for us. All those things, a lot of you were thinking, a lot of those things that you guys were expressing to me on social media, I felt the exact same way in the moment in the stands. But coming back home late last night, yeah, I'm a sicko. I am sick in the head. I had to get on. I had to get on there immediately, and I didn't watch the whole game immediately, but I watched some of the key plays, and that was the first one I went to. And after watching that, guys, I am convinced. I will not say that it was the best call ever. I will not say that it is the call that I still would have called in that situation, the play I would have called in that situation. But I do not think the call itself was necessarily a bad call. And I know that runs counter to where a lot of your minds are right now. I know a lot of you are out for blood, especially when it comes to Mike Bobo, because we know the Mike Bobo narrative in the Georgia fan base. We have people that, a lot of fans in the Georgia fan base, that if they had their way, Mike Bobo would be doing hard manual labor in a Siberian prison the rest of his life. And so as soon as he makes any mistake, they're ready to pounce, right? And so this was one of those situations that people are losing their minds. And I get it. I get it. But guys, I don't think the call is necessarily a bad call. And I know that's probably gonna some of you are gonna vehemently disagree with me on that. And you might never want to watch me and watch this channel ever again, potentially, or listen to this podcast ever again. I understand that, but I'm gonna keep it real with you guys. I'm gonna tell you like what I truly believe. And if you disagree, that's okay. That's okay. Like I can respect an honest disagreement. I don't think it was the call that was the problem. I think it was the execution of the play that was horrendous from a coach and player standpoint. Now, I have a couple of points here to make on actually more than a couple of points on this one play because it was such a critical play in this game. All right, number one, let me start here. Guys, go back and watch the play. If you can stomach it, and it was hard for me to stomach it myself, but if you can stomach it, when you get to that point and you're ready to go watch it, I urge you to go back and rewatch the play if you have not already. When you do so, if you watch it with an open mind, if you avoid confirmation bias, if you avoid going into it with a preconceived idea about what you think's about to happen, I think that you will see that play that Mike Bobo dialed up was a touchdown. It was a touchdown if Juan Gaston, at right tackle, even tries to make any semblance of an attempt. I'm not even saying to block the defensive end. I'm saying just like get in his way. If you just get in the way of LT Overton there, do anything other than just stand there looking around helplessly, that's likely a touchdown. Keon Sabb, the safety number 3, he was rushing downhill from the deep safety. But I think Cash, the angle he had, was certainly going to pick up the first down and probably would have beaten him to the end zone. Probably would have beaten him there. No guarantee, but I think it's likely a touchdown on that play if Juan Gaston does anything to block the end basically right in front of his face. I cannot make sense of what the man was doing on that play. Now I know a lot of you are saying, "Well, we shouldn't try to score a touchdown on that play," which I don't understand. Shouldn't you try to score a touchdown on every play if you can dial up a touchdown? Shouldn't you try to run that play? That's kind of where my mind is. I know a lot of you were of the mind, "Hey, we got a big running back and Josh McCray. He's physical. Run the ball up the middle, get a first down, and we'll see what happens." Well, guys, if you go back and watch the play, they are selling out to stop the run up the middle of our offensive line. In fact, go back and rewatch the interior of our offensive line got blown back on that play. If we run up the gut, we probably get tackled for a 2-yard loss, probably because they got blown up. They had a heavy run blitz right up the middle. That's why the outside was so open. There was no one there. No one. One Gaston just blocks the guy in front of him. So I know what the retorts are. I know what you're saying. I just, I'm telling you, it was a touchdown. If you go back and watch it, it's a touchdown. And the other thing is, guys, we've run that play a couple of times this season, and we have had a lot of success with it. Go back and I went back and rewatched all 22 for Tennessee again from the Tennessee game earlier this morning just to make sure my eyes weren't deceiving me. We did run this play against Tennessee and have success, right? Yeah, we did. You know what? We also ran the same play with Cash Jones, and he runs around the edge and picks up almost 10 yards. Same play. I know it's a different game, a different team, but the play had worked for us, and it was there. You just have to execute. We simply did not execute. Now, here's where I will throw you a bone if you think it's a bad play call. I will say this: you do have to keep your personnel in mind. And I'm not talking about the running back. I'm not talking about Cash Jones getting the football. I'll get to that in a second. I'm talking about when you have a freshman, a true freshman playing right tackle in that situation on that play, who has been playing guard all season essentially when he's been playing. Yeah, played tackle in high school, but at Georgia he's been playing guard. Hasn't honestly played all that much because he got banged up week 1. I do think you have to take that into consideration when you make that call. The call was there. The design was there. It was a touchdown. But you also have to factor in who is blocking on that play side. And I'm big on players have to execute at some point too. Like every play a play caller calls, guys, you're trusting someone to execute. You are, right? Like if you would want to call a run up the middle there, well, that means you're trusting the interior of the offensive line to do their job. And that play, they really didn't, guys. Got blown back. You're trusting the running back to fight for extra yards. Maybe you will, maybe you won't, right? On that play, we were trusting a right tackle who has never really played right tackle in Georgia, who hasn't played that much football ever, to block a veteran defensive lineman. Now, again, if just getting his way, then we probably get the first. We almost certainly get the first down. But he didn't do anything. He just stands there and looks around. And a big part of me wants to put that on Juan and say, dude, come on, you gotta do your job, you gotta execute, and you do. But as a play caller, you have to be aware of the inexperience at that position on that play. I think that is a fair criticism on that play. I will certainly allow that. And I know people, let's get the Cash Jones part. I see a lot of people saying, why are you handing the ball to Cash Jones, like our least physical back? He can't break a tackle. I get that, guys, but the running back there on that play was irrelevant. The side was wide open. And if that's Chauncey Bowens, is Chauncey Bowens breaking that tackle? Almost certainly. And I got eaten up almost as soon as he touched the ball, he got eaten up. And then you had the backside end on that play, in-man line of scrimmage, which Deontay Lawson on that play, crashing with reckless abandon. So you have two guys on you basically, like when you had to stop because you had to slow down for a second because LT Overton's in your face because Juan Gaston didn't do anything to block and get in his way. And then you stop for a second and you get crashed on the backside by the backside defensive lineman or linebacker who's playing with defensive line on that play, who's crashing with reckless abandon. So I don't think the fact that Cash Jones was in the game and got the carry had anything to do with that play not working. If this Chauncey Bowens, I don't think it works any better because the right tackle just didn't do his job. He simply didn't execute. So I don't have an issue with it being Cash Jones there. But saying that, I do have a few issues with the play. All right. Number one, again, I think you might have been, almost certainly were, putting too much faith in a right tackle, true freshman, who hasn't played that position really at all this season, putting a lot of faith in him to execute in a critical situation. Now, you might be thinking, what's about as simple a block as it is? Just he's right there, just get in front of his face, try to block the guy a little bit, just get a hand on him. Just do something instead of doing nothing, which is what Juan did on that play. But when you talk about a true freshman, man, true freshmen do true freshman things, and that was about as true freshman of a thing as you're going to see an offensive lineman ever do. And that's what happens sometimes. Another issue I have with that play is I do not think Gunner had the option to pull it. Because if he did, then Gunner lost his mind not pulling it. Because if Gunner pulls that ball, he walks in to the end zone. Like Gunner could have done it. He could have crab walked into the end zone, man. Like he could have done like a backwards crab walk, could have cartwheeled in the freaking end zone. There was no one there. Deontay Lawson was the in man on the line of scrimmage on the backside, linebacker number 0. He crashes wildly at the snap on the running back. If Gunner pulls it, he literally walks in the end zone. So either A, Gunner did not have the option to pull it there, or B, Gunner had the option and he just lost his mind. And I can't believe Gunner would not have pulled it in that situation. I just can't, man. I can't believe that. So I think that going hurry up like we did, I think that we were dead set on running that play, giving the line of scrimmage that quickly. And I don't think that we gave Gunner the option to pull it there. And I think that is insane. I think anytime we're running a play like that, I think honestly Gunner should have the option to pull the ball on any down. That's how you get numbers. That's how the quarterback affects the play, affects the box count. And if he pulls it there, he scores. So I have a major issue with Gunner not having the option. And that's me reading into it. That's speculation. I don't know that for sure. I'm not in the meeting room. I don't know the actual play call. But from what I can tell on tape and seeing how Gunner has played this season, making good decisions on when to pull it, I have a hard time believing he had the option to actually pull it there. And if he didn't, I think that is a colossal mistake because he walks in the end zone. He does, simply. I also think it was criminal that we hurry. And look, guys, I know the hurry up part was predetermined. We do that sometimes. We did it earlier in the game. Remember when McCray scores, right? And they review, he walks in the end zone and they blow the whistle because they reviewed the play. Well, we hurried up to the line of scrimmage on that play. It's predetermined. All right, if you pick up a couple yards, we're gonna hurry up, try to catch them off guard, catch them sleeping, catch them not fully aligned, and walk in the end zone, which we kind of did on that play. So this is something that we do pretty regularly. This wasn't like, oh, this is the first time we've done that. But I have an issue with it there, and I know it's predetermined, but it's criminal that we did not challenge the play. It was a first down, guys. That third down, that when Gunner pulled it, third down run by Gunner, that was the first down. I am convinced going back and rewatching, I watched it 30 times. It's 100% a first down. It's on Kirby to call a timeout and get that play reviewed. 100% that's on him, and he didn't do it. And when you hurry up, you don't give the replay booth enough time to really, or you limit their time to evaluate whether they should blow that whistle and take a look at that play. Now, I'll also say this. I'm not gonna, this is on us, guys. I'm not putting this on the officials, but I will say, let's just be real. It was also it was on Kirby for not calling time out there to get that play reviewed. But it was also a poor job by the officials. Because again, earlier in the game, down the goal line, a very similar situation where we were going hurry up, right? They had no problem blowing the whistle and reviewing it, almost as we're snapping the ball and we're going to walk in touchdown to review a play that wasn't even remotely as close as that play was on 4th and 1. So we'd seen them blow the whistle earlier in the game that quick. But in that situation on 4th and 1, at a critical moment in the game, the officials dropped the ball. And they did not review a play that should have been reviewed. If they would have reviewed it, I'm almost certain, I feel very confident saying that would have been a first down. If it's a first down, does Georgia score in that drive? Probably. We don't know. We don't know how that would have gone down, but there's a very good chance Georgia would score in that drive and won the game. So, look, I understand the frustration behind the play call, but I think if you really look at it deeper, guys, and get away from the emotionality of it in the moment, because I was emotional in the moment too, guys. I had a lot of the same feelings myself, but going back and rewatching with an open mind, it's hard for me to blame Mike Bobo too much when he dials up a touchdown and the right tackle simply doesn't execute. I have a hard time putting that 100% on Mike Bobo. So I will say, again, you have to consider the personnel there. I do think The fact we had a right tackle there, maybe you want to run something somewhere else. Maybe you want to run. I know we didn't want to run to the Monroe Freeling side because that was to the boundary. We wanted to give Cash room to the field. We want to run to the field, and at that time, that's the right tackle. So I understand the frustration behind it, but I don't think it was the worst play call. I were there things that we could have called better? Are there plays that I would have chosen to call before that? Yes, let me say it that way. Yes, I would have liked to see the quarterback run. If you get numbers there, I would have liked not up the middle. I would like to see like a quarterback power sweep. If you want a quarterback power sweep with lead blockers, the way that they were selling out to stop the run in the middle of our offensive line, I think that it's an easy first down, maybe a touchdown. Heck, I would have like run speed option. You run speed option, Gunner or Cash walks in the end zone. Because even if Juan Gaston doesn't block the defensive end, like you're not blocking the defensive end on that play, right? Because you're optioning off of him. So that would have worked. I would have taken that. Like I'm not as mad about not running up the middle like some people are because I don't think that I'm not convinced that would have worked. The way that they played us on that snap and the way our offensive line got blown back on the interior of offensive line there. But anything to the edge that involved a quarterback run game, I think is an easy first down and probably a touchdown. So that's what I would have done first and foremost. But again, I don't think it was a terrible play call because he dials up a touchdown if the right tackle executes. Should the right tackle have been put in that position? That is the criticism. And I think that is a very, very fair criticism. But the play call itself in isolation wasn't horrible, in my opinion. I know that kind of runs contrary to where a lot of your minds are. Now, one last thing here on that play. I understand the mindset behind going for it there. And if Kirby doesn't go for it, would he get criticized for being a wuss and being too conservative? Yeah, probably. But if you kick the field goal there, you take the three, you tie the game, we had all the momentum in the second half. And if we weren't having to come from behind the way that we were after getting stopped there, I look, you never know how it would have played out. Like this is just pure speculation. I think there's a good chance that we would have won the game with all the like tying that game up, all the momentum that we built in that second half, all the momentum that would have given us. Guys, we shut them out in the second half. We shut them out in the second half. I think if you kick the field goal there, we would have found a way to continue to shut them out, and we would have found a way to score one more, whether it's a field goal or touchdown, to win that game. Do I know that for sure? No, that's not a certainty. But I believe that based on how that half of football was going. So call me old school. I would have kicked it there myself. But I do understand the mindset of going for it. Like you want to be aggressive. And again, you dial up a play where it should have been a touchdown. We've been running the football up and down the field, down their throats all game long. So I understand, like, yeah, can we get a yard? Of course we can. We're averaging 7 yards a rush. Makes sense, right? I did it. I don't. So I'm not like losing my mind that we didn't kick the field goal there, but that's what I would have done. And if you want to criticize Kirby for doing that, I think that's fair, and I don't really have a problem with that. I do think that's fair to criticize him that, and that's what I would have done. That's what I would have done there. So, yeah, ultimately that's what did it, man. That wasn't the only play, but that was, in retrospect, that ended up being all she wrote there. Now, I do want to say a couple other things here. The Nate Frazier fumble, guys. I don't know what to say about that. Like, I just don't have words at this point with Nate Frazier in that issue. It's just a consistent issue for him, man. And he didn't, as far as I know, as far as I could tell, he did not see another snap the rest of the game. And by God, I love that. You can't. You can't play him again. You have to send a message, especially with the way that Chauncey Bowens is playing. Nate Frazier could not see the field the rest of that game. Now he'll get opportunities in the future, but you had to send a message there, man. Like it doesn't matter how talented you are. I think he's an extremely talented football player. But if you cannot protect the football, if you cough the ball up in that situation, you can't play, man. I don't care how talented you are. You cannot play. Because if they don't score there, that's another play. If they don't score that on that drive, if we score on the 4th and 1, we win the football game. We probably win the football game by 2 scores if those 2 plays go the other way. But they didn't. And that's kind of how things work with Georgia and Alabama. Now, here's another issue I had too. I know a lot of you are upset about not kicking the field goal on 4th and 1, which I understand that, and I think I'm good. I'm with you there. But I also have an issue later on in the second half. The decision by Kirby to punt from our own 45. I know it was 4th and 10. The odds of picking up a first down on 4th and 10 aren't great. I understand that. But it's 4th and 10 on our own 45 with 3 minutes, 19 seconds left. I still believe that was a poor decision to punt the football there. Look, whether you go if you go for it there, whether you get it or not, you're going to have to stop them either way, right? If you punt it, you're going to have to stop them to get the ball back. If you go for it and you don't get it, you're still going to have to stop them. Like they can maybe pick up one first down, but probably not even that. And they're probably not even really in field goal position at that point, right? So you're going to have to stop them either way. I understand if you go for it there and you don't get it, that even if you stop them 3 and out on the next drive, they would have punted us deep, and now we have no timeouts, and it's a longer field to go down and try to get points to send the game to overtime. I understand that, and so that's certainly a risk. But to me, you have to weigh the risk reward. To me, the potential reward of converting that 4th and 10 outweighs the risk in my mind of not getting it, of them maybe potentially being able to punt us deep if we get them 3 and out. So that was a decision that I had a problem with. I would have gone for it there. Now Kirby's the one who gets paid what $13 million a year to make those decisions, but it's the inconsistency in aggression. Like you can say, all right, Kirby is just being aggressive. Kirby can sit there and say, hey man, like I'm gonna be aggressive. Like I'm gonna trust my team. I'm gonna be aggressive and go for it. But inconsistency and aggression between the 4th and 1 when the field goal ties it and then punting from your own 45 with 3 minutes and 19 seconds left when you have a chance of not getting the ball back, which is exactly what ends up happening. The inconsistency and aggression there was very stark to me. Now, I know it's not exactly apples to apples from a 4th and 1 and a 4th and 10. I understand that. But aggression's aggression. We were aggressive on the 4th and 1, and then it's almost like we got scared. After that, it's like we got scared. Like, okay, now let's play conservative and let's trust our defense to get a stop. And yes, we had shut them out in the second half, but when they had needed to pick up first down, especially in the first half, they were able to do so. And guys, in that final on that third down was a 3rd and 5. I sat there and told my wife in the stands, "They're going to throw it. They're going to throw it all in this place." What I would do, they're going to throw it here. They're going to take that chance. And sure enough, they did, man. And great play call. That's what you got to give Bama credit. They went out and they converted on that play. So look, I know that. Let's go to Mike Bobo here. I know that Mike Bobo is going to be a punching bag. He always is. Again, like I said earlier, there's a sizable segment of the Georgia fan base. If they had their way, that man would be doing manual labor the rest of his life in a Siberian prison. Like, we know that, right? But guys, he averaged 6.7 yards per play to Alabama's 5 yards per play. All right. Now they ended up with more total yards than us, but they ran like almost 30 more plays than we did in this game. So on a yards per play basis, Mike Bobo actually did a really good job against a good, not a great, not elite Alabama defense, but a good Alabama defense. He found what was working, the run game, and largely stuck with it. He certainly did not call a perfect game, clearly, but putting this game on him, because I know a lot of people are right now, but putting this game on Mike Bobo, in my opinion, is wildly misguided. Now, there are some things that I think he, like, again, like I thought he caught a good game. It wasn't a perfect game. There are some things that I think watching the tape he'd want back. There's some things that myself watching the tape, I wish we'd done a little bit differently. Guys, they were playing their safeties in the box all game long. They were playing single high almost all game long, especially the kind of success that we had running the football. And even though they had safeties in the box, we were still able to bite off chunk yards. That's one of the reasons we were able to bite off chunk yards was when they have safeties in the box like that, when they're selling out and you break through the first, second line of defense there, now you're going because you don't have the guys in secondary to step up and make that tackle. But with the safeties in the box the entire game, I would have liked to have seen us take a few more shot plays because they were there, guys. Like, yeah, we called the one to Talon Taylor, and it was there. We didn't convert on that one. And yes, guys, I'm going to have nightmares for years over that play. Like that play, like Julian Humphrey flailing through the air helplessly against Alabama last year on that go-ahead touchdown with Ryan Williams. That still gives me nightmares. That just, it's scarred into my psyche. Talon Taylor dropping that ball will be scarred into my psyche for the, I don't know, man, for the foreseeable future at the very least. But I think there were more plays out there like that. Like we hit the touchdown, right? The first touchdown to get us back in the game, down 14-0 to Colby Young. And that, like, what they were doing, had a single high safety. They were playing 10 yards off of him because they didn't want to get beat deep. And I love what we did there. We ran a double move because what do we normally do? Like against Austin P and Marshall, when they're giving us 10 yards cushion like they were, what do we usually do? We take the free access yards. We just turn around, we show our numbers to the quarterback, we run a hitch. And so we fake that, right? And then we're gonna double move vertical down the field, and I mean, has no more than 5 yards of them. Those plays were there all game. I don't have an issue with us running the football as much as we ran the football. We were gashing them 7 yards per rush. You've been crazy not run the football when we're running it that well. But I also think that there were some opportunities to hit some like explosive chunk plays down the field in the passing game that could have been game changers as well. We took two of them. We took the one to Colby that we converted for a touchdown to cut within 14-7. We took the one to Talon Taylor that should have been a touchdown, but he drops it, right? I think that there were more opportunities to do that, try to push the ball down the field. And Gunner, when he got opportunities, there weren't many. When he got opportunities to push the ball down the field, he was accurate. He put the ball where it needed to be. So that's my criticism of Mike Bobo would be that. But all in all, guys, we averaged 6.7 yards per carry or per play, 7 yards per carry. I don't think Mike Bobo is the reason we lost this game. I know a lot of people do because when anything goes wrong for a Georgia football team, a lot of people always want to blame Mike Bobo. I don't think he's the reason we lost this football game, in my opinion. I thought he did a plenty good enough job for us to win it. But all right, guys, now that we've gotten through this, we've ripped the Band-Aid off. I know there's a lot that I'm not even touching on right now because my brain is fried. So I'll be back with a mailbag episode later on this week on the audio side of things. So make sure to check that out, guys. So anything that I haven't touched on this show that you want me to touch on, hit us up on social media at glory_UJ. You can email us gloryujapodcast@gmail.com, and I'll do my very best to answer all those questions. I know a lot of questions have already come in. I will get to those, and whatever you send me, guys, I will try my very best to get to all of them. But I do want to end by saying this. This sucks. There's no getting around it, guys. Like, this sucks. This hurts. It's brutal. I hate it, every second of it, but it's a long season. Let's not lose sight of that, okay? As much as this game hurts, as much as we did this to ourselves, there was also a lot of good to take away from this game. There were a lot of things that I saw that encouraged me. I thought that we did a better job of protecting the quarterback. I thought the right side of the offensive line looked better. Now, Alabama does not have great pass rushers, as we talked about last week, and that kind of showed itself, but we did a better job of protecting Gunner. We didn't throw the ball a ton, but when we did, we gave him time. By and large, we gave him time for the most part, with the exception of maybe one or two plays. I also think we've officially found our running back number one. I think is it not time, guys? Chauncey Bowens needs to be running back one. It's not only the fact that he's a big physical guy, but he sees the field so well, man. And he's got a gear. A gear I didn't really see last year. I know it's a small sample size, but he's got that gear. He sees it extraordinarily well. The vision is unbelievable, and that's where he's better than Nate Frazier. Frazier doesn't always see it well. He's not always patient. He doesn't press line of scrimmage very well. That's something that Bowens does all those things very well. He's patient. He presses the line. He's got a really good jump cut. He's got a little bit of an extra gear, like Nate does. He's got some twitch in his game. He runs with power. He's our best running back right now, especially considering the fact that Nate Frazier can't hold on to the football. So I'm encouraged by what we see from Chauncey Bowens. That guy I think is a freaking stud, and I want to see him get a lot more carries moving forward. But beyond just Bowens himself, we continue to run the ball very well. We also we continue to do a good job of stopping the run game, and that's something to build on, guys. Like, I'm still a believer in the SEC. If you don't kill yourself with catastrophic turnovers and mistakes, being able to run the football and being able to stop the run, that's a heck of a starting point winning football games in the SEC. And we do both of those really well. Like, we held Alabama's running backs to 76 total rushing yards on 26 total carries, which is under 3 yards per rush. They're actual running backs. So when they want to run the ball from the running back position on a down-by-down basis, they did not have any sort of success doing that. Now, Simpson had a scramble in the first half. They did an end around with a couple of receivers, but the running backs had no success running the football. Even Jan Miller, who they were excited about getting back, he had no room to operate. So we continue to do a really good job running the football, stopping the run, and I do think that's going to help us moving forward. Again, we protected much better. I thought we generated some explosive plays. Again, when given opportunities, I thought Gunner pushed the ball down the field effectively and accurately. And the reality is, guys, like, if you're looking for a silver lining here, we, again, do not make those type of debilitating mistakes and those type of debilitating, just nonsensical coaching decisions against other teams. We don't do that against other teams because they're not in our head the way Bama is, because we are the boogeyman for other teams. They make those mistakes against us because we are in their head. So I know it doesn't feel like it right now, guys. And here I am trying to, like, get my perspective back, rein myself back in. But this season is far from lost. Let's not forget, we were in this same spot this time last year, guys. We thought the sky was falling. The way you feel right now, you felt virtually the same way, if not worse, after the way that game in Tuscaloosa ended a year ago. And what happened after that? Well, we picked ourselves up and we went out, we got better, and we went and won the SEC. That is still out in front of us. Now, does losing to Bama make that more difficult? Absolutely, it does. All I'm saying is, guys, it's not unprecedented. You saw the Georgia team last year go out and do that after losing to Alabama. All right. Now, we've got to get better. There's zero doubt about that. We are not there right now. We're not an SEC championship caliber team right now. We're not a national championship caliber team right now. There are a lot of things that we got to clean up. The pass rush scares me to death. If we can't figure out that, I don't think that we're going to win the SEC. I don't think that we're going to win a national championship. We got to find a way to be more effective in getting after the passer. I don't know what the answer is there right now. We're in a situation right now where we lost our top 7 pass rushers from a year ago. The guy we went out and got to be the answer to that, Elo Mendoza from Army, has been a non-factor. I don't want to call him a bust right now. We're only 4 games in the year, but he's been a non-factor. And I know we don't trust him as much in the run game. Again, Quintavious Johnson's done a really good job in the run game, but I think it's time to put Mendoza on the field far more in pass rush situations to see what he can do. Because I'm telling you, Quintavious Johnson's not giving us anything rushing the passer. Maybe some of the young guys, maybe Isaiah Gibson, Darren Ickenbond, maybe those guys. I know you don't trust them on standard downs, stopping the run. I get that. But third and obvious, rushing the passer, if those guys can give us a little bit more juice off the edge, give them opportunities on third down, man. Get somebody on the field that is more capable of actually threatening the quarterback. Because right now, what we're doing out there is not getting it done. The only guy that is really threatening the quarterback on any sort of consistent basis is Chris Cole. We're not even rushing him on every single pass rush because we use him in a variety of ways, kind of a Swiss Army knife. So we got to figure that out. Absolutely. But outside of that, if we just don't self-destruct in games like we did against Alabama last night, I like what I see from this team by and large. I like our ability to run the ball, to stop the run. I think Gunner's doing a really good job. I think the right side offensive line looked better. I'm not sold on it yet, but look better. I think we have some playmakers out wide, the likes of which we have not had in recent years. So there are a lot of reasons to still believe this team can do something on the stretch. We just got to go back to work, pick up the pieces, get better, and get after it next week here at home against Kentucky. Find a way to win that game and take it 1 week at a time, improving week after week after week. And then we get to the end of the season, and we'll see. We'll see how it all falls, right? But the season's not over. As much as it might feel like it right now, I'll leave you with that. We'll get after it this week. And the rest of the week, guys, on the YouTube channel, we're going to be looking ahead at Kentucky. I'll have a deep dive game preview for you. I have the predictions for you later in the week. On the other side of things, we'll definitely have the mailbag episode. We'll have our picks of the week at the end of the week as well. So, regular week, guys, we got to move on. Like, we can't wallow in this. I know it hurts right now. The players, the coaches have a 24-hour rule. I'm giving myself a 24-hour rule. This sucks right now, but I'm going to move on to Kentucky tomorrow. Getting on. We're moving on, guys. That's all we can do. You lose a game. It sucks. It's awful. I'm sick of losing Alabama. There's no doubt. But we can't wallow in this. We can't let this end our season. We can't let Alabama beat us twice. We got to move on. All right. Thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate you. I know this one sucks. I know a lot of you do not agree with some of my takes on this game, the 4th and 1 in particular. So let me know what you guys think. What were your biggest issues with the game? Am I crazy saying that 4th and 1 wasn't the worst call ever, like some people are making it out to be? I've had people telling me that Bobo will never live that play call down. I just don't exactly see it that way. But let me know what you guys think. But yeah, we'll be back later this week, guys. A lot more content coming your way. Thank you so much for being here. I'm Tyler, and as always, go Dogs!
Man, is there going to be some property destroyed tonight. 26-21. Dogs on top.